Hello, this is my presentation for my assignment 1 of Sustainable Urban Development. Here is my research question. What policies are being implemented in other global areas to encourage behavioral change to support the development and applications of green building, which can cut down the energy consumption and carbon emissions? I choose 3 practices from England, China, and Switzerland. This is the outline of my presentation. I will show you the reasons for choosing the research question, the reference list, the implemented policies, and finally the possible applications of green building in Sydney with my findings. Here are the reasons for my choice. Building plays a significant role in sustainable urban development because the house building industry causes large carbon dioxide emissions. To make a global response to climate change, proper policies should be implemented to increase the proportion of green buildings which have high energy efficiency and low carbon emissions. This is the reference list. They mainly focus on separate issues but similarly talk about green building. While English case describes how the government treats the drivers to green building, Chinese case shows the process of their development, and the Swiss case gave more policies to motivate stakeholders. Let's look at the practice of England. The UK government set itself a 60% reduction of carbon dioxide emissions target in 50 years. The house building industry is the subject of numerous government policies and legislation. The UK government helps the house building industry to create a culture of corporate social responsibility. Both householders and developers can benefit from this. The prospect of future legislation is also a major driver in achieving zero carbon homes. This seems to be the most influential driver for house builders to build zero carbon homes with an active attitude. Next policy is expanding the customer demand for low carbon housing. This can also encourage house builders to voluntarily integrate sustainable features into future developments. In addition, the Code of Sustainable Homes has been set to provide the basic future sustainable building standard in UK, including specific policy document of all techniques. Let's move to this Chinese case study. China has made a significant progress in developing national green building standard to balance the increasingly demand for new buildings and the corresponding energy consumption. In 1996, research on Chinese green building system was listed as one ninth 5-year plan key finding area by the Natural Science Foundation of China. Since then, a series of green building documents and regulations were released. The formal first stage of its green building policies is the Chinese Green Building Evaluation System. It contains a rating system, the assessment method, and grading criteria. The second stage is the application of releasing green building assessment system for Beijing Olympic. This is initially developed by reference to the Japanese standard, but this system asks for separate evaluation in each stage of the whole building process. The most recent achievement is Chinese National Green Building Evaluation Standard, which is released by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Rural Development. This is the first national standard on green building become effective in China. Finally is the Swiss practice. Their Institute of Construction and Infrastructure Management claims that the proportion of green building has actually been built remains low, while the significance of green building is clear. The first policy is influencing the demand for housing and controlling the supply of construction products. Then they point out that the effectiveness of all policies depends on the local environment. In other words, the structure of local market, the culture, the climatic conditions, and the typical construction styles. Next important issue is the initiatives in green building activities. The Swiss Federation Sustainable Development Strategy says several initiatives should step forward to lead the further development, such as regulations and public issues. The most important policy they put forward is motivating stakeholders. They fully realize the significance of different stakeholders and aim to create a network with all the stakeholders to foster sustainability. I learned many valid policies from each case study to support my further research. What I learned from England is combining ethical approach and objective approach by creating corporate social responsibility and leading stakeholders by legislation and building codes. China tells me how I can gradually achieve effective advance by persistent effort and properly learning from existing policies. The most valuable policies of Switzerland is using the power of all stakeholders and adjusting strategies by local situation. These policies can contribute well to encouraging behavioral change to support the development and application of green building in Sydney.